How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie is a timeless self-help book that offers practical advice on building positive relationships, gaining influence, and leading others effectively. First published in 1936, its principles are still relevant today in both personal and professional settings. The book is divided into 4 sections, each focusing on different aspects of human interactions. Below is a summary of the key principles from the book, with practical examples of how to apply them. Part 1. Fundamental Techniques in Handling People. 1. Don't criticize, condemn, or complain. Carnegie emphasizes that criticism is futile because it puts the other person on the defensive, making them resentful. Instead of condemning people for their mistakes, try to understand their perspective and offer constructive feedback. People want to feel valued, not attacked. Criticism often damages relationships and decreases cooperation. Example: if a colleague submits subpar work, avoid saying, "This is terrible." Instead, ask, "Can we go over this together to see how it can be improved?" This approach avoids blame and fosters collaboration. 2. Give honest and sincere appreciation. Everyone craves appreciation, but Carnegie emphasizes that it should be genuine. People respond positively when they feel recognized and valued for their contributions. A simple but heartfelt thank you can go a long way in building rapport. Example: instead of offering vague praise like, "You're great," be specific. "I really appreciate how thorough you were in preparing that report. It made a big difference." This shows that you noticed the person's effort and encourages them to continue performing well. 3. Arouse in the other person an eager want. People are primarily motivated by their own desires and goals. To influence others, you need to frame your suggestions in terms of what they stand to gain. Instead of focusing on what you want, think about what the other person wants and find a way to align the two. Example: if you want your team to adopt a new work process, instead of saying, "I need you to do this," explain the benefits. This new process will save us time and make everyone's workload more manageable. Part 2. 6 ways to make people like you. 1. Become genuinely interested in other people. People are naturally interested in themselves, so showing a sincere interest in others is one of the quickest ways to win their friendship. Carnegie suggests asking questions about their lives, hobbies, and opinions, and really listening to their answers. Example: when meeting someone new, instead of talking about yourself, ask questions about their experiences. What do you enjoy most about your work? This demonstrates that you value their perspective. 2. Smile. A smile is a universal symbol of goodwill. It makes others feel at ease and communicates warmth. Carnegie highlights that even in tough situations, a smile can disarm tension and create a more pleasant interaction. Example: when greeting someone, offer a genuine smile. It sets a positive tone and helps build rapport instantly. 3. Remember that a person's name is to that person the sweetest sound. Carnegie emphasizes the importance of remembering and using people's names. A person's name is an integral part of their identity, and using it in conversation shows respect and attentiveness. Example: instead of saying, "Hey, can you help me with this?" try, "John, can you help me with this?" It personalizes the interaction and shows that you care enough to remember their name. 4. Be a good listener and encourage others to talk about themselves. People enjoy talking about themselves, their experiences, and their opinions. Carnegie suggests becoming a good listener by asking open-ended questions and giving others the space to share their thoughts. This builds trust and deepens connections. Example: instead of dominating a conversation, ask, "How did you get started in your career?" Or "What do you think about this new project?" This shifts the focus to the other person and makes them feel valued. 5. Talk in terms of the other person's interests. If you want to make a connection with someone, find out what they are passionate about and discuss those topics. People are more engaged when the conversation revolves around something they care about. Example: if you know someone loves sports, you might say, "I heard you're a big fan of soccer. What did you think of the game last night?" This shows that you're paying attention to their interests, which strengthens the bond between you. 6. Make the other person feel important and do it sincerely. Everyone wants to feel important and appreciated. Carnegie advises looking for ways to acknowledge others' contributions and talents. This must be done sincerely, without flattery or manipulation. Example, when collaborating with a colleague, you might say, "Your input on this project has been invaluable. I really appreciate your perspective." This reinforces their sense of importance and fosters goodwill. Part 3. How to win people to your way of thinking. 1. The only way to get the best of an argument is to avoid it. Carnegie advises avoiding arguments, because they rarely result in a win for either party. Even if you win an argument, you might lose the person's goodwill or respect. It's better to find common ground and discuss issues calmly. Example, if a disagreement arises, instead of escalating it, say, "I see your point of view, and I'd like to understand more about why you feel that way." This opens the door to a constructive conversation rather than a heated argument. 2. Show respect for the other person's opinions. Never say you're wrong. Telling someone they're wrong puts them on the defensive and creates resistance. Instead, acknowledge their perspective and suggest a different viewpoint without being confrontational. Example, instead of saying, "You're wrong about that," say, "I understand why you might think that, but here's another way to look at it." This keeps the conversation open and respectful. 3. If you're wrong, admit it quickly and emphatically. People respect those who can admit their mistakes. Carnegie advises that if you realize you're wrong, acknowledge it immediately and apologize. This disarms the other person and often leads to forgiveness. Example, if you made a mistake at work, say, "I was wrong about that, and I apologize. I'll make sure it doesn't happen again." This shows maturity and accountability. 4. Begin in a friendly way. Starting a conversation on a positive note helps set the tone for the entire interaction. People are more likely to listen and be receptive when you approach them with warmth and respect. Example, instead of launching into a complaint, begin with a compliment. "I really appreciate how hard you've been working on this project. I just wanted to discuss one small issue that came up." 5. Get the other person to say yes immediately. Carnegie suggests that you start conversations by focusing on areas where you and the other person agree. This builds a sense of cooperation and makes them more likely to agree with you on more contentious issues later. Example, if you're proposing a change, begin by highlighting shared goals. "We both want this project to succeed, right? I think we can improve our chances by making this adjustment." 6. Let the other person feel that the idea is theirs. People are more likely to support ideas that they feel they've contributed to. Carnegie suggests framing your suggestions in a way that makes the other person feel ownership over the idea. Example, instead of saying, "Here's what we should do," ask, "What do you think of this approach? How would you improve it?" This encourages the other person to take part in shaping the solution. Part 4. Be a leader. How to change people without giving offense or arousing resentment. 1. Begin with praise and honest appreciation. When giving feedback or correcting someone, start by acknowledging their strengths and positive contributions. This makes them more open to receiving constructive criticism. Example, "You've done an excellent job with the presentation. I just have one suggestion that might make it even better." Starting with praise softens the critique that follows. 2. Call attention to people's mistakes indirectly. Instead of directly pointing out someone's error, try using subtle hints or framing it as a suggestion for improvement. Example, rather than saying, "You missed a key point in your report," you could say, "I noticed that this section could benefit from a little more detail." 3. Talk about your own mistakes before criticizing the other person. By admitting your own mistakes first, you make it easier for others to accept their own shortcomings. This creates a sense of equality and humility. Example, "I've struggled with keeping up with deadlines before, so I understand how easy it is to fall behind. Let's see how we can improve the process moving forward." Conclusion. Dale Carnegie's How to Win Friends and Influence People offers timeless advice on building meaningful relationships and influencing others in a positive way by focusing on empathy, sincerity, and understanding. Carnegie's principles help people navigate complex social dynamics and lead effectively without causing resentment or conflict, whether in personal relationships or professional settings. These strategies remain powerful tools for fostering cooperation, trust, and mutual respect.